all is going well. Then we get to the airport and things, they took a turn. But anyway, so we get into the airport, and I don't know if I mentioned it in the day one, but when you come or leave the airport, you have to get checked for explosions. And it's just, I don't know how it works. You just walk into this little like gated off area, and the police officer comes around and like taps you. So I don't know whether they're putting stuff on you or not, and then you wait like 10 seconds, and then all of a sudden they're like, there's this machine, and they're like, no, you're good. It's really weird. I don't, if anyone knows how that works, please let me know in the comments. But yeah, so we get into the airport, and we're like, cool, let's go find our gate. So again, we get lost. So we go up and down elevators. We eventually find, oh, not our gate, sorry, check-in, where we have to check in. So we go to the check-in, we're waiting in the line, all is well. And then one by one we go to the different counters, and we all end up being in a counter at the same time. So the mum and son, Juliana, my mum and myself, at 4 different counters. And first of all, they take mine, they scan it, and he has this blank look. He looks at me and he looks back all confused, and I'm like, oh my gosh, just please let this be okay. And he calls someone over, and I'm like, no way. Oh my gosh. And I look over to my mum, and he's confused as well, and he keeps rescanning. I look at the others, and they're all confused, and we're just like, oh my gosh. And we end up looking at each other like, what's going on? And then this guy comes over, and he does something, and then they weigh my luggage, and they take it, and it's all good. So I'm like, and they give me a boarding pass, and I'm like, I'm just gonna take this and go. And they tell me to go this way, and everyone else was that way. So I was like, I'm going this way. So I go that way, and one by one we all get out, and we're all like, what happened? And they're like, I don't know what happened, but we all managed to get our bags checked in. We had boarding passes, so we're like, sweet. By this stage, I think it was like 9 p.m. and our flight was at 12:05 a.m. so we had plenty of time, but like, let's go through security, because we don't want anything, like, we just want to get through security, be at the gate ready to get on the plane, because you never know what's going to happen. So we start heading towards security, and it's all going well actually. There's a lot of lines, but like, they're all moving. So we go through, and then we get to the point where you where they check your bags. And I knew, because I take my laptop with me, my camera, my power bank, my chargers, my batteries, so I know every time I go through those, like whether it's in New Zealand or Netherlands or China or wherever, they always have to take it and like double check it. So when you go through, you have to take them all out of your bag and put them in a basket. Oh, not a basket, like a plastic container thing. So I'm in front of my mum, so I go first, and of course they take it away because they need to put it through another one just to check, because you know, when you have batteries and that kind of stuff, it could be explosive. So I get that. And then my mum, because I'm standing there waiting, she goes past me, and this lady picks up her bag, and I'm like, why is she picking up my mum's bag? A lady who works there. She goes over to this guy with my mum's bag, and I'm like, weird. She comes back to my mum, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's because my mum's got like her medicine. And then she goes to my mum, excuse me, where's your knife? And I just like looked over, and I was like, oh, her knife? What? She doesn't have a bloody knife in her bag? And my mum said the exact same thing. She's like, what knife? She's like, I don't have a knife. And the lady's like, check your bag please. And so my mum like checks, and she's like, there's no knife in here. Now this is her, what's it called, handbag. And then the lady's like, in that pocket. And so my mum like unzips this pocket, and she pulls out a Swiss Army knife, and I'm still there like slowly packing my stuff away, because I had a lot of stuff, so I wasn't going super slow, but I was going slower because of my mum. And yeah, so she pulls out the Swiss Army knife, and I look at her, and she looks at me, and this other lady looks at me, so I like look away, because I'm like, do I pretend that I know her? What do I do? So I just like keep packing my stuff. And my mum was just like, oh my gosh, I forgot this was in here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, mum, you knew that was in there? Like, what? And this lady's like, what, like, why do you have that? And my mum's like, I completely forgot. It's my old pass. I take it with me everywhere, blah, 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 blah. And so this lady takes it, and anyway, I finished packing, so I have to like move on. So I move slightly away where I can still see what's going on. And a couple minutes pass, and they do some weird checks with it. I don't even know, like measurements and stuff. And then they give it back to her. And then my mum like just puts it in her bag, and they walk away. So my mum's like, okay. Comes round and I was like, Mum, what the heck were you doing? Like, why do you have a Swiss Army knife? And she's like, I forgot, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, because we all waited together and it was just like, are you kidding me? But she got it back, and so we're like, let's keep moving. So we get to the other line and we have to fill out our departure cards and that kind of thing. We wait in that line for maybe 40 minutes. And then we get to the front of the line where we have to show our boarding passes and our departure cards and all that kind of thing. And we all get through without any problems. And it was just like, we were all smiling so much because we're like, it was quite seamless. Like, there were a lot of lines and checks, but that's normal. And we all just get through and we're like, oh my gosh, we made it. Like, we're so close. By that stage, I think it had just gone past 10 p.m. So it took us about an hour to get through, I think, just over an hour. And we're like, oh my gosh, like, we're in the duty-free area, and it was the shops and whatnot, and there was like heaps of people, and we're just like, yes, like, we're here. We knew where our gate was. We could see on the big screen where it's got like all the flights and stuff. Our flight was up there, and we're like, great. And we're all standing together, and all of a sudden there's just this big bang, and we're like, what was that? And everyone else around us is still like normal, and we're just like, what was that? And then all of a sudden there's just this really loud noise, and we look out the window and it's pouring with rain. And then we just see like not see thunder, we see all this lightning and flashes, and we hear the bangs again. We're like, oh shoot, that's thunder. Like, it was so loud, and it was pouring, like, it was heavy, so heavy, and everyone else was fine. And then we heard some other people saying, yeah, I heard there's a monsoon that's gonna hit, and we just looked like, no, like, there is no monsoon. Like, we need to go. We only had how many hours? 3 hours until we had to leave. No, not even 3 hours at this stage, like just over 2 hours. And we're like, no. We're like, let's get this thing out of here, because the whole time we were there it was sunny, but on my app on my phone the whole time it said it was supposed to rain and be thundery. And I was like, guys, my camera stopped recording again. I think I was recording too long. I don't know when it stopped recording. I think talking about the weather, but anyway, I don't know, there was a monsoon. And so we start going around the shops. We're like, okay, we've still got 2 hours, we'll be all fine. So we go around the shops and we're looking at the stuff in duty free, and it's some really cool stuff, like really cool quirky stuff. And we managed to get around because it's not that big. And Mum and I, we were so tired, like we were all exhausted at this stage. Like, it had been a long time. I think we were at like 45 hours travel by this stage, and we were still in China. So we went to we only had a limited amount of money left, so we bought a bottle of water each, and then we wanted coffee, and we could only afford the coffee from McDonald's, so we got these filter coffees, and they gave it to us like in a bag and stuff, which was kind of cool. And the coffee was disgusting, but we drank it anyway, and we're like, cool, okay. I think it was 10:30 by this stage, like it didn't take us long to get round. And the rain was still going. It was heavy, and the thunder was loud, and the lightning was strong. So we go and look at this board again, and we see a few flights with delayed, and we're like, okay, it's only 10:30, like we've got an hour and a half, maybe it'll pass. And then we see cancelled, delayed, and all of a sudden the entire left hand side was either cancelled or delayed, and we were on the right hand side because our flight was still a while away. And we were just like, panic again started to set in a bit, and we're like, no, let's be positive, we're gonna be fine. Like, let's go downstairs to our gate and wait, because we've got nothing else to do. We go down this escalator, and then we go down another escalator, and it was just like, we got to the bottom of the escalator, and because of all the delayed flights, like, we were in this area downstairs where there's normally only, there were 4 gates. So I think hypothetically there's only ever supposed to be 4 lots of flight people waiting. Because of all the delays, there was about 10 or 12. So there were thousands of people in this little bit, and we couldn't move. Like, we got to the bottom and we're like, we literally couldn't go anywhere. And then behind us people were piling up, so in the airport they had to turn off the escalators, so that otherwise people were gonna just get like stuck. It was that compact, like, I'm not exaggerating. It was so packed. So we're like, oh my gosh, and we couldn't get up because there were just people standing on the escalator. So luckily there was an elevator, so we're like, back to our favorite elevator. So we managed to get on the elevator, go back upstairs. We looked back up at the board, and there was just like, almost everything was delayed. Some flights were starting to get called, so we're like, okay, well, they're taking people out, so that's a good sign. So this stage it was like maybe 11 p.m. and we needed to board at 11:25. So we're like, okay, let's just wait up here until 11:25 and then we'll go downstairs and get in our queue. So we wait and we wait and we wait. Gets to 11:25 and we go back downstairs and it is still so packed. And by the way, we were looking at our thing the whole time, and the entire time our flight did not say delayed or cancelled. We were just so happy about that. So anyway, we're downstairs and it's still packed with people. It looked like the top bit, everyone, their flights were going, and the group downstairs, it just wasn't moving. Like the escalator was still stuck, but we're like, you know, we don't want to not get on our flight because we had to go on those buses to get to the plane again. So we go down and we wait. It's 11:25. People start getting in a line for our gate because it pops up on the screen and we're like, yes, that's us. It doesn't say boarding, it just pops up. So we're like, sweet. So 11:25, we're standing there. There's nowhere to sit. Even on the ground, you couldn't sit on the ground because everyone was like on top of each other. You had to stand. So we wait. It gets to 11:35 and we're like, it's still not boarding. That's okay, the weather. Gets to 11:45, 20 minutes later, we're like, okay. Gets to midnight, guys, midnight, and we're still waiting in this line, like 35 minutes standing in the same spot, not moving. We see other flights starting to leave. And we were just like, what's going on? We met some other people as well, which was it's really cool meeting other people, but we were all going a little bit crazy. It gets to 12 a.m. guys, this is a.m. and we're still standing there. And because of the delayed flights, like as soon as people leave, people flood downstairs, so it didn't get any better. And eventually it popped up saying boarding for our flight, and we were just like, we were just like mini clapping because we didn't have the energy to like be like, yes. It was just like a finally, like, let's get on this plane. So we go outside, we get on a bus, and the bus again takes like 15 minutes to get to the plane, and it's quite hot and stinky because everyone's been waiting in the airport for so long. And we drive around, and we finally get to our plane and we can see our plane, and the bus turns off and the doors are shut. And we're like, what's going on? Like, we want to get off this bus. We've been on this bus for 15 minutes and the aircon turns off because the bus turned off. And then there were people that were literally going crazy. Like they were going, why are we waiting? And just like people, it was so interesting listening to the different conversations and looking at everyone, because some people were falling asleep, some people were like getting angry, having angry conversations. And it was just like, because just remembering that there's no communication the entire time, nobody tells you what's going on. And by this stage I was like, I'm used to it. Like, I don't expect anyone's going to tell us what's going on. We wait on this bus for another 15 minutes and it's hot and it's still raining outside too, so it's humid because it's like 30 something degrees, and we've been waiting for ages. Anyway, at about 1:45 I think it was, they finally opened the doors, and it was just like everyone rushed off this bus. Well, not everyone, we rushed off the bus and there were people rushing with us, but it's because they only opened the front doors of the bus and we happened to be at the front, so we were like, thank goodness. So anyway, we get onto the plane. By the time we're all settled and blah blah blah, it's 1 a.m, which is 55 minutes after we were supposed to take off. And I was like, thank goodness, we're gonna go. Like, I'm so ready for this, because everyone was so tired. And even when people were still boarding, like people were already falling asleep on the plane. And so as I mentioned earlier, I was in the middle row, and so I had a family next to me, a dad, a kid and a mum, which was okay because I was like, you know what, they're gonna just worry about each other, like they're together, so I've got my little seat to myself. So I'm sitting there waiting because I'm like, cool, we're gonna take off. I wanted to stay awake as long as I could because... Why did I want to stay awake? Oh, because when we landed, we're supposed to land at like 9 a.m. So if I stayed awake as long as I could and then slept for the second half of the flight, then I would be fine. Like there'd be no jet lag. So yeah, 1:20, we're still there. And everyone's seated. They've completely shut up the plane. And we're like, okay. People are sleeping. I was looking around like, cool. They do an announcement, you know, the announcement, the safety checks, at 1:30, and I'm like, okay, I'm so ready to go. And then nothing happens. The plane doesn't start up or anything. I'm like, okay. 2 a.m. rolls around. This is an hour after, and we're still sitting there like, what's going on? All 4 of the others that we were with, they were fast asleep. My mum was out of it. The kid was asleep, and I'm just sitting there awake, and I'm like, I just can't fall asleep, because I just want to, like, I can't fall asleep knowing that we're still here. I don't want to wake up and us still be here. So I was still awake. I don't know what time I said it was, but 2:30 rolls around and we are still sitting there, and I'm just like, what? And people are asking them like, what's going on? And obviously it was the weather, so I expected there to be a delay because of all the other delayed flights, but not an hour and a half like of just sitting in this plane. And then it was 2:45, and then it was 3 a.m. and we are still on this damn plane, and I was just like, oh, I don't even know how I felt. I was like, in my brain I was annoyed because I wanted to go, but I completely understood why we hadn't. But I was just so tired. It was 3 a.m. and I was just like, my eyes were so sore, like they were bloodshot, because it's so dry on the planes because of the amount of aircon. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, at like 2:30 they did another announcement, so I thought we were going, and then they moved the plane and then we stopped again. But anyway, 3 a.m. rolls around, the plane turns on, and I'm just like, I like come back to life again out of my like zombie state, and then the plane starts moving again, and like I couldn't see outside because I wasn't near a window and it was pouring with rain. And then all of a sudden I just felt the acceleration, and I was like, oh, we are going. And I know this sounds stupid, but I was just so excited, and I just felt the plane like just going for it. And then the top of the plane goes up, and I was like, we're in the air. I was so happy, guys. You have no idea. Like, we finally took off at 3 a.m. 3 hours after we were supposed to take off. Actually, I think it ended up being like 3:10 or something like that. And I was just like, as soon as we were up and that seatbelt signal turned off saying, you know, you can now take off your seatbelt, I was just gone. I was just sleeping, and every time I'd wake up I'd just like be like, no, back to sleep, because I wanted to sleep as long as I could. They did the meal like 1.5 hours after, so I like woke up while they did the meals and I ate, and I literally just went back to sleep. And I slept, I think, for a good 9 hours. Like, it was very, like, when I looked at my Fitbit tracker, it was ridiculous. Like, I woke up every 30 minutes or so, and I'd wake up and be like, back to sleep, wake up, back to sleep, like for 9 hours. And then the last 3 hours I was just wide awake, because like I don't need much sleep, but it was, I don't know what time it was, but anyway, 9 hours later, 3 hours to go, so I was watching videos, and then I watched a movie, I think it was called The Patriot, which was really cool. And then yeah, we had another meal, so when they do that last meal it's like, cool, we're gonna land soon. So I stayed awake, and it was like, again, during the flight they kept all the blindy, what are the shutter things down, and then we finally land, and it was like a smooth landing. It was really nice. We get off the plane, and did we have to take a bus? No, we didn't have to take a bus. That was exciting, not having to take a bus. And it was still really warm. We walk off, and there's someone who works at the airport, and they're like, hello, how are you? Like, how is your flight? Like, to everyone walking past, and it was super friendly, and we're like, friendliness, yes. And we have to go through all the security checks as normal, but it was so smooth, it was really quick. And then we get to this last bit where there's a massive queue, and my mum, because she was on a Dutch passport, she got through it in like 5-10 minutes. Oh yeah, I didn't mention as well, in China, like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Viber, they just like don't exist unless you're on like your own network. So if you're on Wi-Fi or anything like that, it doesn't work. Like, it simply does not exist. So if I wanted to check anything, I had to use my data, which is why I ended up with such a, like, having to spend so much money on my phone. But when we got there and we used the airport Wi-Fi, there was Facebook, so I was getting all these notifications, and it was just like, oh, it was so great. And my phone died. I was like, oh, okay, it was alright. We're in that line for maybe 30 minutes max, and I get to the front, and this guy, like, there were 3 different parts, and all of the guys that were working there, I was like, oh my gosh, they look like my brother. It was weird. and I was like, every time I'd see someone I'd be like, they're definitely Dutch, because I feel like I could be related to them. Like, it was such a weird and really humbling feeling to see these people that just like look like me. Like, I'm Kiwi and all, but I'm still half Dutch, and seeing all these Dutch people, I was like, I could be related to them. Like, oh my god, like, I know I wasn't, but it was just like they look like me, and it was just so cool. I don't know how to explain it. I don't think there's any way to explain that, but it was really cool. And anyway, so I go up and he was like, hi, how are you? Really friendly again. And I was like, oh, I felt so at ease. And he was like, how long are you here for? So I said, and he's like, where are you going? And I butchered the name. I was just like, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say this properly, but it's this place. What did I say? Oh, actually, I don't want to say it. I don't want to give away any addresses. And then he said it the right way, and I was like, that's the one. And I was so tired, and I was so worried that he was going to question, because we had no arrival cards which normally have all that information on them, but it was super chilled, and he was just like, okay, we'll have a good holiday. And I was like, thank you. And he stamped my passport, and I like walk out, and I'm like, is that it? And that was literally it. Like, my mum had got our bags, and it's like, we're free to go. Like, we didn't need it. Like, it was just so quick. Like, it took us maybe 35-40 minutes to get through the whole thing, compared to like 4 hours in China. But yeah, so this is where we departed Juliana, which was really sad because we had so much fun with her and she was so great to have with us. But yeah, we met with my mum's auntie, and that's kind of where this video ends. So shoot, this is long again. That was day 2, the day we got stuck in China. If you want to know what we got up to in the Netherlands, then make sure that you hit the subscribe button. If you're excited or you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments your stories of airports and travel. If you've got anything interesting, let me know. I'd love to hear. Or if you've got any questions about my trip, any part of it, let me know as well. And if I get a few questions across the videos, then maybe I'll do like a Q&A or a, I don't know, a recap kind of video about my trip, answering some of your questions. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and again, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can see more of my Netherlands trip. I was there for just over 2 weeks, or just under 2 weeks, I can't remember now, so long ago. So yeah, there's a lot of footage to come. So yeah, anyway, I better stop this. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.